investor base and bringing stability in the markets. Now, this change will also democratize access to mutual funds where small investors can build wealth over time. The decision aligns with SEBI's ongoing efforts to boost retail participation in the financial markets. But there's already a minimum SIP of 100 rupees that is made available in certain platforms in the market. So how is 250 rupees SIP any different? Well, that is, of course, one of the questions we'll try and understand and decipher. To talk more about this mega announcement and what it will entail for retail participants, joining us on the show is Feroze Aziz, Deputy CEO, Anand Rathi Wealth. Feroze, thank you very much for taking time out. I want to, get the ball rolling and begin by asking you, what is the impact going to be of the 250 rupees SIP? If and when it kicks in, are we looking at more participation increasing as a result of a 250 rupees SIP, which basically essentially means a lower ticket size, so more people out there will be encouraged to make an investment?
Yes, good evening. And I personally think like this change, like you rightly alluded, that there are some schemes which have 100 rupees already, but it's not all asset management companies. So 250 rupees is a move which will almost mandate every asset management company to have every scheme as the minimum ticket, whereas today the rule is 500 rupees. Some people proactively have 100 rupees, but that's not a profitable proposition for asset management companies, is why every one of the 47 have not followed suit. That's point one. Okay. Point two, when the amounts are reduced, one is the number of people can increase. Diversification for a person can increase. I don't know whether the amounts will increase significantly.
All right.
Because every time, these are the three things.
Okay.
I'll stop here for your reaction.
All right. So, I think it begs the larger question. A 250 rupees by the way of starting SIP, was this something that we've already seen in the markets? Was it reiterated earlier as well? Because as you rightly pointed out, there are some 100 rupees plans, micro SIPs already made available. So would you say it's sort of a reiteration of what's already in the markets, or is it something which is going to be brand new for both retail participants as well as AMCs?
See, I think it'll still be brand new. Of course, I can read out some schemes which have, like ICICI Pru Technology Fund has a 100 rupee limit. Aditya Birla Digital India, Nippon India Small Cap, which is a very large small cap scheme, one of the largest small cap scheme, has a 100 rupee option. ICICI Pru Equity and Debt Fund, which is both equity and debt, being available at 100 rupees, which is like 60-70 rupees to equity, 30-40 rupees to debt, which is like maximum diversification. But this 250 still has an impact, because then your scheme choices are not colored by which one is offering and which one is not. Now, for example, all the schemes I read out, there are 14 schemes in my model portfolio, as Anand Rathi, by which I mean, and my own portfolio. All of them today don't offer this provision. So I have to change the scheme selection to get the benefit of the smaller ticket, which if is not there, then it becomes an extrapolatable thing to all the crores of investors, rather than an investor applying mind and checking whether the 100 rupees are available. So it is a big move, and I don't think it's a small move at all.
Okay. And, obviously want to understand what sort of impact will it have on your margins as an AMC and other AMCs around. What sort of impact are we looking at as far as AMCs is concerned? Bringing down a ticket size to 250, is that something that's going to hurt you in the long run?
See, since I am one of the largest distributor, which is non-bank and non-aggregator, and we don't have an asset management company, but I understand the asset management company business reasonably well, having been associated as business partners for long periods of time, it will not have a very large impact from a profitability standpoint. Because asset management companies, about 4-5 of them are listed and their financials are available in the public domain, make a lot of money because of the mark-to-market which has happened. Right? Because markets have done beautifully well. The broader market has done beautifully well. Their profitability has gone up significantly. And if you gave a 250 SIP option, and even if 50 lakh people in the industry, or even 1 crore in the total industry start using this 250 SIP, I don't think it will have a material change in the profitability of an asset management company. Of course, the effort to reward ratio is going to be low for asset management companies. But I think with the kind of technology platforms which are available today, I think this is not so difficult to distribute. Earlier, every distribution meant somebody actually physically going there, convincing a person. Today, it has become a pull instrument where a person logs in, uses a platform, a technology platform, and invests. So there is a lot of cost reduction with respect to the logistics which SIPs have today vis-a-vis 10 years back.
Okay, and for every person who wishes to enter the capital markets now, what is the actual minimum ticket size that they can invest in for? It's written that it's about 500 rupees for most and most of the AMCs out there, but some also offer 100 minimum rupees entry level ticket price to enter and start your SIPs. But what exactly is that amount that you need to make a monthly investments in mutual funds through SIP route?
So I think if this came into effect, then it will be 250 rupees. I think that's a very small ticket size given the kind of income in the per capita income increase we have seen over the last 10 years in the Indian economy. Okay. So I think 250 rupees is the minimum amount. But one thing is, if a person wants to enter capital market, to my mind, the word if, it is not a choice for somebody who's earning, participating in equity is going to be something like a gun on their head, because otherwise they'll never be able to beat inflation. All right. Real estate is unaffordable for a guy who's looking at a 250 SIP. Gold is, of course, there, but gold also does not beat inflation handsomely. So what beats inflation? Not an FD, not a PPF, not an EPF. So equity is a mandate. I think the word if somebody is deliberating and procrastinating, saying that should I do it or not, I don't think the person has a choice. He doesn't realize that he'll become poorer because of inflation over long periods of time if he didn't do this.
Okay. Would it be correct to say, Feroz, that right now you would need at least 500 rupees up until the new mandate really kicks in to make an SIP in India?
Yes, I would say that. I would say that. Because otherwise you're very, very restricted on the number of choices.
Okay.
So I'd say 500 is the minimum amount today, and that will be halved if this came into effect.
All right. And personally, are you going to be very happy about it? Do you think this warrants a change? Because as you rightly pointed out, people need to be investing a lot more if they want to beat inflation, if they really want proper returns to come in over an extended period of time, even a short period of time for that matter. No other instrument like equity is going to give you returns that you expect, not even gold, no real estate. So for that matter, someone who has a horizon of next 5 to 6 years and hoping to beat inflation, what is the recommended ticket size you would be asking them to put in?
So to ask
minimum,
500 down to 250, I'm very excited. Of course, it's a show. Otherwise, I would have expressed it with some dance moves, and I have 2 left feet. That's how I'm excited. Why am I so excited? Is because India needs to invest in equity. India has 826 lakh crores of household savings. Only close to about 50 lakh crores, 6.7% of India's household savings is in equity. Okay, foreigners have invested in equity in India, and Indians have only funded the government's fiscal deficit for the last 25 years, is why Indian households have not become the richest community. Now, just come this June, foreigners are first time investing in Indian debt, and I'm very happy that Indians are investing in Indian equity practically the first time. So I'm very happy that this transition is what will make Indian households richer over the next 10-15 years. So I'm very excited, and I've, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, I'm 12 in excitement.
Okay, and before I let you go, obviously this is a move that is still being contemplated. We know now that SEBI is actively speaking to AMFI and other stakeholders such as yourself perhaps to understand whether this is feasible in the long run. And to your assessment, first part of the question, to your assessment, are AMCs going to be happy about it?
To my mind, it is not just about feasibility, right? It is about economy and its impact. See, every corporate has a responsibility. It's not just profits, right? A CSR budget cannot be forced down upon you. Of course, it can be. But something which you are responsible for, I think as an industry, be it a distributor or manufacturer, everybody's sole purpose should be Indian households should earn double-digit return on their overall allocation. So if I was a AMC CEO, I would not look at what money am I going to make on every application. That's not going to be the only end all and be all of my organization's existence as a conglomerate of human beings, because in this industry you don't have plant and machinery, you only have people, and I'm sure people have heart and mind both. So I would want to contribute to the country by not worrying about what is the profitability of this specific vertical of my business. If I'm so myopic, then I don't deserve the India growth story anyway as an asset management company CEO.
Okay, you're sounding very nationalistic and hopeful as well. But part two of that question, for an average person, as I, going back to what I was saying, for somebody who hasn't really entered the Indian markets just as yet, are you hoping that the 250 rupee ticket size will mean more people will now be looking to make an investment? A lower ticket size would mean more money flowing in for that matter. But will it be about money, or will it be about having more people participate in capital markets? What's going to be that one thing that you think will stick out when it comes to lower ticket size?
I think it will only be number of people. In our experience, any time ticket sizes have gone up is when amounts became larger. For example, AIF became 1 crore ticket size, or PMSs were moved from 10 lakh to 25 lakhs minimum tickets, 25 lakh to 50 lakh tickets. The amounts in the PMS industry grew. Amount, on the contrary, grows when the minimum amounts are upped. Here, the minimum amount is being lowered. So I am only bullish on the number of people. So many people who are doing blue-collar jobs, house helps, all these guys, the lift men, the lift women, all those guys can actually come into the more formal saving mechanism. And one is to say that I would want to serve the country. Like, I've done about 2,000 shows on television channels, and I don't address the segment. My business is in HNI and Ultra HNI, which starts with 5 crores as the minimum investment amount. And I would want to educate the rest of them if I can't manage them.
Okay. All right. Feroz Aziz, thank you very much. Always a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you for taking time out and for joining us on the show. And with that, it's time for a break here. We'll be back in just a bit.
Not quite lived up to their pre-tournament billing, delivering a series of less than convincing performances. For 2 draws and a solitary win.
Your son will be Messi. No studies, just football all day. Go, my son, go. Make my face shine through playing football.
Not only your face, but also the country's. I will conquer the world by playing football. Come, let's go to Germany!
World's largest football talent hunt, News 9, Indian Tigers and Tigresses. In association with DFB Pokal, Bundesliga, BVB and India Football Center. Train and play matches in Europe. Register now and fly to Germany. IndianTigersandTigresses.com.
How do you fulfill that promise? Because ultimately expectations have to be met. If you look at the political landscape, is it really changing for women? And what is the inability of the forces that dead bodies surface but not the living people?
Terrorism always flows like water. It will go in the direction where there is no obstacle.
Bloodbath in Jammu. 5 soldiers die after terrorists open fire at an army convoy in Kathua.
Pakistan essentially is doing is opening a new frontier in the Jammu region.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. News is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
Welcome back. You're watching News 9 Live. I'm Shweta Kothari. There is a new concept in the jobs market that job seekers need to be aware of. It's called ghost jobs. Now, ghost jobs refer to jobs advertised on the company website, but in reality, they do not exist. These are the jobs that companies advertise but have no real intention of actually filling them. So why do they do it? There is a range of motivation, including projecting an image of growth, satisfying legal obligations, and testing the job market. For job seekers, it is an utter waste of time and gives them a false hope. Now, spotting ghost jobs can be very challenging, but there are telltale signs that one should watch out for, such as a job posting that remains active for an unusually long time, vague job descriptions, and unresponsive recruiters. Now, ghost jobs are more prevalent in industries like IT services, biotech, and media, but less so in more regulated sectors like retail or education. Awareness is crucial for navigating these deceptive job listings. So how do you really figure them out, and what should you be careful of when looking at a JD? Let's talk about that. Rituparna Chakrabarti, co-founder, team lead, joining us on the show. Rituparna, thank you very much for taking time out. How does one really spot a ghost job?
Oh, it's a Herculean task, to be honest, and the fact that it's being used, it's honestly not really a new phenomenon. It's been going on for more than 2 decades. And companies, recruiters, consultants, job sites, portals use it for different reasons, to kind of course, reasons which benefit them in some form or the other. And I know it's quite frustrating for job seekers to kind of navigate through this journey. But yeah, I think one of the things that I do recommend to most candidates today is that gone are the days where organizations, companies were not accessible. Nowadays, organizations, access to people, the concerned people in organizations are quite high. So I actually do advise people that even though it feels sometimes difficult and it would be probably easy to just apply to a job and be hopeful that somebody responds, it's not such a bad idea to kind of network and get in touch with some people in these organizations. Look at common connections, just figure out what's essentially going on. Is this company in a growth stage? Are things really looking good? Because organizations typically would not hire until and unless there are clear signs of growth or there are some orders and deals that have been backed by them. Nonetheless, I think some of the common aspects is that be mindful of the how long the job has been active, how many applicants are already there, and how many times the job has been reposted. I mean, this is an interesting thing, and I do warn most candidates that if a job is repeatedly getting posted, and honestly, the way the algorithm works, if your algorithm or your details match with the job posting, you will keep getting the same alerts. And if you see that the same jobs are coming back to you over and over again, I mean, I would personally advise everyone to kind of be wary of such organizations or such job postings. It's clearly an attempt to...
Rituparna, I want to understand, I think you were getting to it, but why exactly are companies doing it? Now, from my limited understanding, well-reputed companies are not doing it, companies which are more regulated are not doing it, perhaps companies which are public are not doing it because they have a certain obligation to their shareholders and stakeholders. But it's usually the companies which are not very big in size, perhaps startups, they are the ones who are more actively putting out ghost listings or ghost jobs, as we are calling it. Why are they doing it?
Yeah, so I think one of the, if one were to first reference job portals, I think job portals are the first place where most candidates go to look for jobs. If you look carefully, you will see that about, give or take 60%, maybe 70% of the job posting, and in essentially slump period, economic slump periods, you will see that percentage going up. About 60 to 70% of the jobs are posted by recruitment companies or consultants, like typical matching consultants, okay? The recruitment consultants. Now, that's their way of using a lean phase where organizations are not hiring to accumulate as much database as possible. It's a typical thing that it's harder to get across the right candidates in good times because they are so much in demand. So recruitment consulting companies start posting jobs across different sectors where they usually work in to kind of accumulate those databases. So that's one. Some organizations, and honestly, it's not really that there is a regulation which stops you clearly from advertising
I was about to come to that. You brought about a very interesting point. There's no regulation, right? I mean, is there something that can really prevent this phenomena? Because it wastes everybody's time. It wastes, times of HR managers who can do better job with whatever limited time they have at their disposal. And obviously, the people who are looking for jobs, it's a bad job market anyway. And for somebody to be investing days and weeks of their time by filling an application that's never going to turn around, for waiting for an answer, it's never going to happen, nobody's going to come back to you, it's a waste of time, it's a waste of energy. Is there any provision in the law that can prevent these companies from doing it?
There is no provision which prevents organization to put up prospective job posting. Now the question is, should they? Here is my response to it. It agonizes people definitely in difficult times. But at the same time, one also have to bear in mind that when there are times when organizations actually go out and give, especially when the economy is doing well, they go out and give offers and which are accepted by candidates, and then they refuse to join on the day that the organization is expecting to join. We can't have regulations for all these. Essentially, of course, there is always a healthy, I know there's a question of ethics which is coming into the picture, and we'll talk about that later. But essentially, here is an attempt being made where one is trying to be one step ahead of the other at any point of time, whether that role is that of a recruiter or of a job seeker. So that's essentially why in current period, where probably the job market is a little muted, something like this seems so frustrating. However, I think organizations are looking at planning for the future. Organizations are saying that, listen, now there's a slump period, but there would be a time when we would need good talent. So let's just utilize the current period to kind of accumulate that.
Okay, so basically accumulating CVs for the right time. But I think, as you rightly pointed out, if there may not be a law, it clearly is unethical, because you're giving some hope to a potential employee, somebody who's hoping to be recruited by you. You're going to sit on their application, and for God knows how long, it could be a year, it could be 6 months, and that person meanwhile needs a job. So just to break it down for our viewers, ghost jobs literally do not really mean that these jobs do not exist. These are jobs that can really become actual real jobs in time to come. So a company may be looking at just accumulating CVs for now. Is that correct?
That's essentially what it is. But one of the things about ethics, the thing is, if one were to really take a pragmatic and a very practical clinical view on this, what's the unethical aspect of it? The intent, honestly, for organization is eventually at some point have a database of talent who they can potentially hire. Now, of course, like if there is a job posting, even let's say they do intend to hire Shweta, even if there is a job posting where 1,000 people have applied, there would be 2 people who got selected. The rest never will get to know about it, to be honest. So there is going to be a disappointment for the one who doesn't get a job in any case.
Right.
And I'm not, honestly, there are people who use job posting for unethical reasons, clearly. I mean, a lot of people nowadays use job posting as a means to collect database for completely different purposes, by the way. They might be running some other marketing scheme, to be honest. They might eventually collect this database to sell some other product. And those are things which, honestly, at some point, I guess the systems will be mature enough for us to figure it out, that for what purposes databases are being utilized. Like some of the job portal databases, one really doesn't know for what reason it's being purchased or being procured, right?
Right.
So yes, but let's just leave aside people who will always figure out a way of doing wrong things.
Okay.
But the general intent essentially is that let's just keep a positive momentum about the brand, the employer brand of the organization. Let's just keep building and creating the database. You never know when tomorrow you would need to hire. At that point, you will pay hefty, recruiter fees to find these talents.
Right.
So just to prevent that, you're hedging your chances and odds at this point. So there are various reasons why this happens. Is it good? No. does it hurt few people? A lot of people, of course. But I don't think it's illegal. Neither do I think that there is an intent to kind of
I'm sure there's no intent to purposefully hurt somebody, and as you rightly pointed out, there is no law around it. So obviously, it gives some leg room, some leeway for companies to collect CVs beforehand and not at the time of when the actual need arises. But all in all, it is hurting a lot of people out there. Surveys suggest that about 10% of total job postings in the country today are ghost jobs. Essentially, these jobs do not really exist in time at the moment. There could be future job opportunities, but all in all, people there have to be very careful of where they apply and whether that job is going to turn around and become an actual real job or not. But thank you very much, Rituparna, for joining us, for your perspective on that story, and we continue to, of course, track that here on News9 Live. But with that, it's the end of the show. Thank you for watching.
Give it to me, pass.
We'll put new glasses in the windows and they keep breaking it. This is the fourth time. You are playing football throughout the day. Will you win the world by playing football?
Yes, uncle. I will now conquer the world by playing football. Let's go to Germany.
World's largest football talent hunt, News9 Indian Tigers and Tigresses. In association with DFB Pokal, Bundesliga, BVB and India Football Center. Train and play matches in Europe. Register now and fly to Germany. IndianTigersandTigresses.com.
Why is the state not looking at putting an embargo on that?
As a Telangana person, I will not accept.
How do ordinary folks deal with this?
It's said that out of 7 diamonds across the world, 5 are cut and polished in India.
Don't forget, US is the largest consumer of, polished diamonds and the diamond jewelry. And that has taken a big beating for multiple reasons, but largely because of the consumer spending going down on these items. And that's essentially what has hit the diamond industry.
We are at a brim where you see not just one, but multiple very strong global brands coming out of India. And we will make a global mark, and I'm convinced about that.
This and more